Well, good morning. It's July the 31st. Hopefully everyone's having a great July, soon to be August. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today. This is Tech for Senior. We have a great show for you today. I'm going to introduce everybody in just a moment, but we have, of course, on the show today, I'll be doing this intro. Bob has got security news update. He's going to talk about also a new Windows 11 background feature. Chris and Jim Guld are here, and Chris is going to talk all about photo fun. And then we have a special guest. We have a special guest today, and I'll be introducing her shortly. And that, of course, is my daughter, Jennifer Brown, is going to talk on. She says, I wanted her to talk today because they're all leaving this Thursday. I've had a busy 6 weeks, as you know. All our family's been here, and we've had a lot of fun. So I said, I wanted her to talk on the show today. And I said, well, we got to talk on technology. So she's going to talk about technology in the classroom. She's taught in Japan, New Zealand, Singapore, Beijing, and is off to Ethiopia on Thursday. So she's going to talk about technology in the classroom. And then I'm going to talk about ChatGPT, the new app on your phone that you can install. Bob's going to talk on Windows 11. Again, he has two parts to this. We'll be doing part 2. And also how to spot phishing scams on Amazon. And then, of course, Ray has his music outro. And then we're going to do the Q&A, followed by the premiere version. And in the premiere, our premiere video today, which again, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you will have got this. But Bob's also going to talk on PayPal invoicing scams. I'm going to talk on a really important one. It's called your heart and your watch. And this is how watches help with identifying cardiac problems. And I explained it all in that video. And then Huey's going to talk about his favorite program, Finding Anything with Everything. And I use it all the time. I'm so grateful for Huey for showing me that program. It for sure is a great program. Don't forget that we also have a Thursday show. We have 2 shows a week, and don't forget to watch us on Thursday. We'll be having I haven't chosen the topic yet, but we review all the news of the week. Huey, I'm going to be sort of real tired by the end of this week, so Huey's going to be the MC for next week. Huey, how the heck are you doing? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I guess it's easier for people to hear me if I do. Lots of things happening. Beginning of the month means we've got a STUG meeting Wednesday night, and Bill is going to be talking, not Bill James, but Bill Crow is going to be talking about games and seniors and using games on computers and so on. And then not next Sunday, but the following Sunday, because it's always the second Sunday of the month, is the WinSig. So that's coming up as well.
You had good learning Chromebooks, eh? The video's out. So if anyone missed the presentation, I put it in the newsletter, and it's on our website or on our YouTube channel. But it turned out real well. Yeah,
but you were missed because you do some talking, and I can do some things to set up or to get my Chromebook or my Chromebook with Flex working. And because you weren't there, I just couldn't leave everybody stranded. So I didn't get them to work properly for the show.
Well, I watched the show. I thought it turnned out very well.
Yeah, we had a lot of good questions and answers.
Yeah.
A lot of good materials. Yep.
And I'll be there full force now. In next week, I'll be back in the saddle, so to speak.
Yeah, you're an important part of the team for sure.
All right, thanks, Huey. Bob, what's new in New Mexico?
It's still new.
Yes.
Now, besides that, not much new here. We are starting to cool off some in the morning. The last couple of days, we've been in the 60s in the morning, which is refreshing. At least you can cool the house down before the heat starts, because we're still getting up to almost 100 every day.
I'm glad you're producing technology videos again. You've got a couple of really good ones you did this week, and we didn't have any room left on the show, but I think Huey's going to play them next week. But they're good
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm finishing up another one, and that's 10 tips on improving your old computers. That's ready to run, but I just still have to get it up to YouTube.
Very good. And Ray Baxter,
Hello, Ron.
how the heck are you doing?
Doing fine. What I like to do when it's really hot outside is take in a movie. Because
Yes.
air-conditioned theaters they're hurting. Too many people are streaming, etc. So if I can support my local theater, I do. So of course everybody's talking about either the Barbie movie or Oppenheimer. My wife and Carol and I chose to go see the new Mission Impossible movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Cruise just gets younger every year. I don't know how he does it, but if you like that franchise, this one is right up there, one of the best ever. So
and Gail and I don't know how, we were out for lunch the other day talking to some friends who had just been to the day before, had done a afternoon matinee at the theater, and they watched, I forget which one, but that's a good idea. And particularly with the heat and everything, that's a really good idea I don't do the evening thing anymore much, but the afternoon thing sounds like a good idea.
oh yeah, definitely. And you get senior discount in the afternoon.
I didn't even think about that. There you go. And also Bill James, where did Bill go? I don't see him on my screen. He must have logged out or logged back in. Are you there, Bill? Where did Bill go? Where are you around?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
I look like I'm but it's nice today. It's 88 degrees, which I thought I was going to get to the hundreds today, but maybe that's not going to happen.
And you're enjoying your Mac.
I am, and I have Chat GPT installed on my phone, so I'm anxious to hear your
You'll hear all about it today. That's right. Good. And of course, we have Chris and Jim Gould here.
Sounds like you have a full meeting today.
Yeah, you
We've
don't
got lots. We've got lots on the go, so we're going to start it early today, so to keep going, because I know my daughter likes to talk, as do I, but I'm going to have my one hand on her ear as for the 10-minute mark. So yeah, she only gets to talk for 10 minutes.
I could yield my time to her. I would love to hear more about technology and education.
Well, we've got it all organized, so I think it'll be fine. And as long as everyone says nice things, if she says, "How's my dad doing?" you'd be sure and say nice things about me, right? Because I want a good impression. All right, Bob, are you ready to roll?
I sure hope so.
Let's go.
Here's my security news roundup for the week ending July 28th, 2023. New Open SSH vulnerability exposes Linux systems to remote command injection. Details have emerged about a non-patched flaw in Open SSH that could be potentially exploited to run arbitrary commands remotely on compromised hosts under specific conditions. This vulnerability allows a remote attacker to potentially execute arbitrary commands on vulnerable Open SSH's forwarded SSH agents. Saeed Abbasi, manager of vulnerability research at Qualys, said in an analysis last week. The cybersecurity firm said it was able to devise a successful proof of concept against default installations of Ubuntu Desktop 22.04 and 21.10, although other Linux distributions are expected to be vulnerable as well. Read more at thehackernews.com. Apple threatens to pull iMessage and FaceTime from UK amid surveillance demands. The development, first reported by BBC News, makes the iPhone maker the latest to join the chorus of voices protesting against forthcoming legislative changes to the Investigatory Powers Act in a manner that would effectively render encryption protection ineffective. Apple told the British broadcaster that such a provision would constitute a serious and direct threat to data security and information privacy. Earlier this April, several messaging apps that currently offer encrypted chats, such as Element, Signal, Threema, Viber, Meta-owned WhatsApp, and Wire, published an open letter urging the UK government to rethink its approach and encourage companies to offer more privacy and security to its residents. Read more at thehackernews.com. 3 tax prep firms shared extraordinarily sensitive data about taxpayers with Meta, lawmakers say. 3 large tax preparation firms sent extraordinarily sensitive information on tens of millions of taxpayers to Facebook parent company Meta over the course of at least 2 years, a group of congressional Democrats reported on Wednesday. They say some of that data was then used by Meta to create targeted advertising to its own users, other companies, and to train Meta's algorithms. The Democrats' report urges federal agencies to investigate and potentially go to court over the wealth of information that H&R Block Tax Act tax slayer shared with the social media giant. I'd like to know who requested the collection of this data. Read more at apnews.com. New AI tool Fraud GPT emerges, tailored for sophisticated attacks. Following the footsteps of Worm GPT, threat actors are advertising yet another cybercrime generative artificial intelligence tool dubbed Fraud GPT on various dark web marketplaces and Telegram channels. This is an AI bot exclusively targeted for offensive purposes, such as crafting spearphishing emails, creating cracking tools, carding, etc. NetEnrich security researcher Rakesh Krishnan said in a report published Tuesday. The cybersecurity firm said the offering has been circulating since at least July 22, 2023, for a subscription cost of $200 a month, or $1,000 for 6 months and $1,700 for a year. Read more at thehackernews.com. Deposit files expose config file jeopardizing user security. Deposit Files, a popular web hosting service, left its environment configuration file accessible, revealing a trove of highly sensitive credentials. Deposit File, a service boasting that it's the perfect place to keep your precious files in safety and share them, does not alleviate those concerns. The Cyber News research team discovered Deposit File's publicly hosted environment configuration file, a crucial record of how to run software. Environment configuration file exposed a treasure trove of information. The extent of potential attacks against the service and its users is profoundly significant. Deposit File's clients are at risk of their personally identifiable information, files, and passwords being stolen. Attackers could also target the company with malware, ransomware, unauthorized access to business payment systems, etc., researchers said. Read more at cybernews.com. New SEC rules require U.S. companies to reveal cyber attacks within 4 days. Whether a company loses a factory in a fire or millions of files in a cybersecurity incident, it may be material to investors, SEC Chair Gary Gensler said. Currently, many public companies provide cybersecurity disclosure to investors. I think companies and investors alike, however, would benefit if this disclosure were made in a more consistent, comparable, and decision-useful way. To that end, the new obligations mandate that companies reveal the incident's nature, scope, and timing, as well as its impact. This disclosure, however, may be delayed by an additional period of up to 60 days should it be determined that giving out such specifics would pose a substantial risk to national security or public safety. Read more at thehackernews.com. Or Elon Musk X equals everything. Musk wants to turn Twitter into an everything app. The utility of X as a super app does make some sense. It would be handy to have one single app in the US where you could read about anything going on in the world, message your friends to hang out, get some money from the bank, book a reservation at a restaurant, and then hail a car to get back home. I'm sure Musk would want it to be a Tesla robotaxi. Read more at theverge.com. This week's must-see on my YouTube channel. Phishing scams are like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't let the scammer take a bite out of you. Don't get hooked. How to spot Amazon phishing scams. Please watch my video on that topic by following the link listed. Did you know there are about 7 octillion atoms in a human body? Bees sense a flower's electric field and use it to find pollen. The sun makes up more than 99% of the mass of the solar system. Value those people who tell you the truth, not just those people who tell you what you want to hear. Thanks to Pat Summit for that. Just thought you might want to know. And that's a wrap for this week's Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
Something new coming to Windows 11 in its next major update. Let me show you what that's going to be. Start by going to Settings, and you can either go there via the Start menu and Settings, or you can simply use the shortcut key of the Windows key and the I for information. That also opens up your settings. Once you get the settings, go to Personalization. Next, we want Background. Currently, you only have 3 choices. It's either a slideshow, which is what mine is set for, and I have it set to pick the pictures from my Pictures folder. The other currently available options are a solid color or a picture. You can choose a picture. That's choosing an available picture. In my case, I already selected one, and once I select it, you'll see my background changed to that picture. But in the next update, you'll have one more choice to choose from, and that is Windows Spotlight. When you select it, Windows selects a picture for your background. You can't change it every hour or at your will. Windows or Microsoft will decide when it's time for the next Spotlight background. But it's one more option, and they have some beautiful pictures, as you can see from this example. Something to look forward to with the next major update on Windows 11. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope this helps. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching.
Well done, Bob. I thought Windows changed. I get really cool pictures on Windows anyway. Is that different?
Yes, somewhat, yes.
They seem to rotate, and sometimes they get really great ones. And really, lately, I've been getting some really good ones.
Yeah, and they have some really nice ones in
Yeah.
this. But there's more to that feature than I first thought, and that you'll see in part two. Coming later.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's get on with Chris Gould and Photo Fun and see what Chris has to say. Let me share the screen.
Hi, I'm Chris Gould with Geeks on Tour, and this is Fun with Photos. Today I'm going to talk about keeping your photos safe. I mean, you can't have fun with them if you've lost them, right? And there's 3 different features. Don't lose your photos when you lose your phone. That's absolutely the most important one. But there's more. You should prevent accidents when you do something stupid when you are editing or deleting photos. That's another kind of backup. And most of us like to have a local copy of our best photos for offline viewing. Now, there's lots of different ways of doing all of this, but to keep it short, I'm going to cut to the chase and just show you how I do this, how I keep my photos safe. But first, I need to share with you a little bit of terminology to make sure that you understand how I am using certain words. First, I'm going to be saying the cloud a lot. You may wonder, where did the term cloud come from? Well, it was from people who had to diagram their computer networks. And when it came to diagramming this huge interplanetary feature called the internet, they just used a cloud. I like it, especially if you actually think of it as a cloud above the earth. Then it helps with the terminology upload and download. If you have something on the device in your hands and you want it in the cloud, you have to upload. If there's something in the cloud already and you want it on your device, you have to download. And last about the cloud is you don't just put your photos anywhere in the cloud. You have to pay for some storage space, and you do that through an account. Every account has a username and password. The photos are stored for your eyes only, unless you should specifically choose to share something. The last term is backup. Now, the first meaning of the word is simply to copy photos from your phone to the cloud. That is a backup from your phone to the cloud. But there's more. I say that there's something called a true backup, which is an extra copy that you don't touch. For example, I use Google Photos for the number one, copying photos to the cloud, and I work with them there. It's my working copy, so I could accidentally delete bunches of them. If so, I better have another backup. Okay, so the first and most important step to keeping your photos safe is don't lose your photos when you lose your phone. The way I do that is I use the Google Photos app. And let me show you what I mean. So here is my phone, and here is the Google Photos app. Now, on an iPhone, you would have to install the app using the Apple App Store. On an Android, it may already be installed. Just take a look for it. Otherwise, install it from the Google Play Store. Now, I open the Google Photos app. I tap on the account button, my little face in the upper right, and I go to settings, backup. So just notice that backup is on. That means that whenever I take a photo with this phone, it is going to get copied to the cloud in my Google Photos account. Let me demonstrate. I'm going to take my sweet polar bear here with his beanie cap, and I'm going to take a picture of him. So with that phone, I go into the camera, I take a picture of the polar bear with the beanie. Now I go into Google Photos just to show you this is happening without my doing anything. As long as that setting is turned on and I'm on Wi-Fi, then that photo is getting backed up to the Google Photos cloud, and I can prove it. First, I will look at the account button, and it says backup complete. So in between the time I took the photo and I started showing you the screen, it got backed up. I can go to the computer and a web browser and just take a look at photos.google.com. Now I am looking online at my Google Photos account, and there is the picture I just took. So if my phone went overboard or got run over by the car right now, I would not lose this photo. I could even just get any other device, and as long as I installed Google Photos and I have it set to the same account, I will see the photo, even though this device didn't take the picture. So no worries. I could lose my phone. I don't lose my photos. The next step is to have a true backup. Let's say you mistakenly deleted a lot of photos out of your Google account, or maybe Google mistakenly said that your account was bad and deleted it. I don't know. You better have another backup. I call that a true backup. The easiest way to do this is with another cloud account, such as OneDrive or Dropbox or Amazon Photos. Let me show you how you would do this with Amazon Photos. So here is my phone, and here is the Amazon Photos app. I go into the settings, and auto save, and notice that photos is on. So that means anytime that you open this app, it is looking for photos and it's going to back it up. Notice you do have to open the app to make it work. If you want to see the photos that have been backed up by Amazon, here they are. There is my little polar bear. So if my Google account should go away and my phone is lost, I still have my original photos on Amazon, and I never delete them from here. If you don't want to use another cloud account, you could back up your phone's pictures to your computer. All you need is a cable. You plug one end into the phone, the other into your computer, and then you can use the files and folders to copy the photos over. Or you can get a thumb drive. Yes, they actually make thumb drives that will work in the phone. On this particular one, I take this cap off and I have a lightning adapter. This will go into an iPhone. I take this end off and I have a C adapter that will go into an Android phone. And then I can also put the cap back on and I get a regular USB-A adapter that'll go into the computer. The third and final layer is to download a copy, probably just of your best photos, to your computer so that you have offline. If for chance you're somewhere where there's no internet, you have your computer, you still have your pictures. Let me show you what I mean. So here are all my Google photos, and I have thousands and thousands and thousands of them. I would like to have a copy on my computer's hard drive, but not of all of these. I take several pictures anytime that I see something nice. I don't want all of those on my computer. I have developed a system over the years where I make an album of my best photos for each month. So for example, here is April. Instead of the probably 1,500 pictures I took in April, this is just a couple hundred of my best pictures. These are what I want to download to my computer, and you can do that. I just open the album, I click the three dots, and I download all. It takes a minute to put it together, but then it comes up with a zip file that has all of those pictures in it, and I can specify where to put those. I keep them on an external hard drive in a folder called Pictures, and notice I've been doing this for many, many years. So I can just open the folder for this year and download. And I'm happy with the name it gives it. It gives it 2023-04 April. That's what I called my album. That will now become a folder or a zip file on my external hard drive. And if something should crash the entire internet, I still have my best photos. Now you can rest easy knowing that your photos are completely safe. And for an extra bonus, if you make albums in Google Photos, it's just a couple of clicks to ask them to print you a photo book.
Well, guess who's here? This is the point now where I'm going to introduce my daughter, Jennifer Brown, who's going to be talking on bridging borders, how technology is shaping classroom learning worldwide. She's, of course, as I mentioned earlier, she's had quite a vast life living in Japan, New Zealand, Singapore, Beijing, and now is off to Ethiopia. So for her thoughts on technology in the classroom, here's Jennifer.
Hi, I've heard so much about this show, so thanks for having me today. So I am I guess a professional international school teacher. Maybe one thing I will clear up is that the most common question I get asked is, do you teach English? So the schools that I work at, they are international schools that serve international families. So these are families who move and relocate overseas to work with companies or embassies. And oftentimes they don't want their children, or they can't have their children go to a public school in that country. And so the international schools serve as a bridge for these families to either continue on education connected to their home country, or some schools are a bit more international and diverse and offer more of an international curriculum. So there are big American schools, there's British schools, there are some schools that specialize in curriculum like the British Columbia curriculum, and parents can really choose where they want their kids to go. And so those are the families that we teach. In Beijing, we had Mercedes-Benz was a big company, as was Universal Studios when it was being built. And so a lot of our students would come to the school with their parents working at Mercedes-Benz or Universal Studios. So we would have students from all over the world. You name a country, I've probably taught a student from that country. And they all come together, and it's quite a fun experience, as you can imagine, having so many nationalities represented in one school. Students really learn, and teachers learn, to be really open-minded about new cultures and traditions, and finding a common ground. And that's a big reason why parents actually choose to do this craziness of relocating overseas, is the benefits and rewards for what their kids get out of it is huge. So if I was to link it back to technology, I think living overseas for 20 years, I've seen technology change quite a bit. And of course, every school is different. In China, some of my technology abilities were limited because of the Great Firewall. So any technology we used in China always had to be considered whether or not there was a VPN needed. And of course, over the last 3 years, living in China, where we were constantly going on to online learning, we really had to perfect delivery of content to students, particularly in elementary school, who, these students can't sit in front of a screen for hours on end and learn. And so we really had to upskill ourselves in content creation so that students could have a fulfilling education, because their parents pay a lot of money for this school system. And so we want to make sure we deliver the best product possible. And over the years, my tech abilities, what my go-tos have not really changed that much. I don't know if some of you know Canva. Canva has really changed the face of content creation, and the ability to make content on Canva is amazing. But I think the biggest change in technology I'd like to just share is technology and translation. 20 years ago, when we were living overseas in Japan, we had these cute little Japanese cell phones that were amazing, but were so limited in what they could do for us translation-wise. And I think about our time in Japan kind of bumbling through and using books to translate individual words, to now with Google and Microsoft, the translation systems are almost all built within programs. I don't know Microsoft so well because our elementary school kids didn't use Microsoft, but what we tended to use a lot of was Google Translation. And it has become so simple now. Students could just take a picture of anything and the picture will scan, and students were able to translate material. And the philosophy of teaching a language has really changed over the last 20 years. 20 years ago, the style was very much put kids in a room and try and like just get them to use English, English, English. Now there's more understanding that using mother tongue or their first language as a bridge is important. And so the last few years in China, working with this international population, we really had to think about how to create content in up to like 8 languages. So at some points I was translating material all into Hebrew, translating material into Japanese, connecting with families to help them with the translation to make sure it's accurate, because of course sometimes it's not always correct. And when you're working with, I was working with grade 3 students, so they could often quickly tell me whether or not the translation was correct. But when you are working with young kids, they can't always, you can't rely on them for that. So the translation tools were a huge lifeline. And when you think about these little kids who relocate over to a new country, and you know, they're, which is what my son is about to do, and they land in a foreign country, they might not have English as their language. They have to go to a school, and all of a sudden they're surrounded by people who don't speak their language. And you know, thousands of kids are going to do this in a few weeks as the international school circuit starts. But to be able to download translation devices on a teacher's phone to now where I just speak, where's my phone? I can just speak into my phone in English and out pops Japanese. And for a 6-year-old student who's just arrived on campus, that's huge. They all of a sudden realize they have a means to communicate to the adults around them. And a big part of our job with students is teaching them how to use these tools. And so by the end of the year, it's quite amazing to see they've got their iPads set up and they've got all their keyboards and they're chatting with each other. Sometimes the kids figure out, oh, my friends from Israel, I'm going to get my Hebrew calendar download or keyboard downloaded, and I'm going to get my Korean keyboard downloaded. And pretty soon the kids have figured out how to communicate with each other. So I think that is probably one of the biggest changes that has happened for us as teachers. And I know with ℍ𝕬𝕝 that's coming out, the translation abilities is even becoming more refined to a point where, you know, you could say, I need this unit on bugs translated into Korean, and the whole unit plan will come out in Korean. Then you could share it with parents and have parents talk about it with their kids so the kids feel a bit more connected. So that is probably the biggest thing that has changed. And maybe next time, if you're out and about and you're faced with someone who might not speak English, don't forget about Google Translate and how easy it is to use. And I think that my time is up.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Just you sit there for a minute. Well, thanks, Jennifer. Hopefully we'll be able to see, you'll be able to stay for our Q&A at the top of the hour. Let me just share the screen now. And speaking of Google Chat, or speaking of ℍ𝕬𝕝, I have, as you know, Google just announced their Android app, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. So let me share my screen. ℍ𝕬𝕝 is now available as an Android and iOS app on your smartphone in July of 2023. I'm Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. We've been waiting a long time for ℍ𝕬𝕝 to roll out apps for our smartphone, and it's done. They're slowly rolling it out around the world in different locations. And recently, in Canada and the United States, the Android and iOS app have been made available for us. Today I'm going to talk about installing the Android app on my smartphone, my Pixel 6. If you are a new or experienced user of ℍ𝕬𝕝, you'll want to watch this video because there are some changes that have occurred and limitations with the Android app. I'm going to explain that when I show you how to install it on your smartphone today. This is using ChatGPT as a browser-based application on your smartphone. We'll look up ChatGPT in our Google browser. We'll find that here, and you'll see now we click the login. Welcome to ChatGPT. We're going to log in. I use the Google prompt to enter rather than a password. This puts me right into my ChatGPT account. There's a few setup processes that you need to do, but it brings you to the main menu, and you have the option of a free account or upgrading to Chat 3.5 or ChatGPT 4. All right, let's look at the difference between running ChatGPT on your browser versus the Android app on your smartphone. The first thing you're going to need to do to install the Android app is you're going to need to go to the Play Store and download it. This is so important that you pay attention and only download the ChatGPT app from OpenAI. When you go to the Play Store, you're going to see lots of things that look similar and lots of other apps that are going to try and fool you. But you only want the ChatGPT app from OpenAI, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. The second thing is you're going to want to have a ChatGPT account. If you have an account and you've been using ChatGPT, no problem, it will sync up and everything will be fine. The third thing you need to know is if you want to upgrade to 3.5 or a higher version of ChatGPT, you cannot do it in the app. You have to do that on the web portal through your browser, and then it will flow through to the app. This probably will change in the future, but right now it can only be done on the web portal. Also, all your search history and everything will be available for you on the app as well. So let's have a look and see how the app is going to install on your smartphone. All right, let's go to the Play Store. We're now on my Pixel 6 phone. I'm going to click the Play Store and we're going to look for ChatGPT. Now, you can do a search and look for ChatGPT. I got an ad right away that says, now available ChatGPT, the official version, and I clicked install. Let's open it. It looks as though it's installed now. And here we are. This is the main message in the app. It looks a little different than the web-based version. We can now type a message. And if we come up to the top, you'll see I'm using the free plan. If you have paid for a plan and you're using a higher version, then that will be there. All right, let's look at the settings. You'll see my email address. I have the subscription free plan, data controls. We have ChatGPT Plus. We have the premium features, priority access, and ultra fast coming soon in the app. So you have to select this, and if you want to upgrade, do this through the web portal rather than the app. Data controls, you have chat history and training. You have clear chat history, export data, and delete account. You have the option of color scheme. You have light, dark, or system default. You have haptic feedback, and it auto-detects your language. The thing I want to point out in our message center here, we can either type the message in or we can dictate it in. This makes it quick for easy access. Just to give you an idea how fast it is, I'm going to ask it to do 5 important things to stay healthy. And you can see that it did that very quickly. So that is the ChatGPT app. that you can use on your smartphone. So ChatGPT can be used through your browser on your Android phone or the new Android ChatGPT app. I think you'll find a few less steps to use the app, and of course you have voice dictation to make it even faster. Give it a try, but make sure you get it from the Play Store and that it is OpenAI's version. Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. All right, Bob, are you ready to roll?
In my last tutorial on Windows 11, we talked about a new feature that will be coming out with the release of Windows 11 23H2, which will be released sometime in the fourth quarter of this year, about a feature called Windows Spotlight, which is a way for Microsoft to change the background picture on your desktop. And I had mentioned yesterday that we don't control it, Microsoft does. But since yesterday, I found out something else in this new feature that will be coming in the next release of Windows 11. Let me close down the settings to set it up. Once it's released, just watch yesterday's video. But once it's been installed, as it has been on my insider preview build of Windows 11, you'll find an icon at the bottom right-hand corner. That new icon is labeled as Learn More About This Picture, which is the current display on your desktop. If you right-click that icon, it pops up a description about the current image displayed on your desktop. You'll also notice that there are 3 other images that are being displayed. And what you can do, this is the current one, the one in the upper left-hand corner of this pop-up that describes the scene. But you can choose any one of the others if you like them more. For instance, if I select the bottom left, it changes the display on my desktop to that picture. If I choose the top right one, there is that picture. And the last bottom right now gives me that one. So I do have some control of which images will be shown on my desktop until the next image comes along and Microsoft changes it to that next image. Some other things to point out when this is open. Not only can you change to any one of the other 3 images, but you can also select Map It, See More Photos, Dramatic Dams, or Explore the Peak District. These searches all open up the web browser. Let me just show it to you. Map It. You can see it opens up a map and shows you where this is located. See More Photos. More photos similar to the one that's currently being displayed. Dramatic Dams. And the last item, Explore the Peak District. From here, of course, you can also explore, book flights, stays, car rental packages. So if you're really interested in the area, there's a lot of things you can do from that particular new feature. Keep that in mind. Once this is released, you might be interested. I'm happy using it right now. You now have this latest image that I selected displayed as your desktop background. And if you want to learn more about it, just do a right click on the icon that says Learn More About This Picture. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope that helps. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching. Don't get hooked. How to spot Amazon phishing scams. Phishing scams are like a wolf in sheep's clothing, disguised as a trustworthy source to lure you into revealing sensitive information. How do phishing scams work on Amazon? Phishing scammers on Amazon may send you fake emails or create fake websites to steal your personal information. Always verify the sender's address and links before interacting with them. Signs of an Amazon phishing scam. Check the sender's email address for any inconsistencies. Hover over links to see if they lead to a legitimate Amazon page. Be wary of urgent or threatening language demanding immediate action. What to do if you receive a phishing email. Don't click links or download attachments from unknown senders. Look for spelling and grammatical errors, and hover over links to check the URL. How to protect yourself from phishing scams. Be wary of suspicious emails, texts, or calls asking for personal and financial information. Verify the sender's identity and check for typos or fake URLs. Here are some additional resources for staying safe online. Keep software and security systems up to date. Use strong, unique passwords for each account. Be wary of suspicious emails or messages requesting personal information. Thank you for taking the time to learn about how to protect yourself from phishing scams on Amazon. Stay safe and happy shopping.
Well, thanks, Bob. Ray, just before you get ready, I just want to say goodbye to our YouTube group, and then we'll get you going. Thank you. If you're over on YouTube, thank you so much for coming. I put the premiere link as well in the chat for you. Hopefully we'll see you back next week, same time, same place. If you want to come over, we still have room in our Zoom meeting to participate in the Q&A. Otherwise, have a great week. Ray, take it away.
Okay, Marilyn Monroe and Heat Wave. Yes, I'm still on the Heat Wave kick, but I promise you this will be the last week. Marilyn Monroe starred in the movie There's No Business Like Show Business, 1954 musical film directed by Walter Lang and produced by 20th Century Fox. The film is a colorful and extravagant tribute to show business and features an all-star cast. Now, in There's No Business Like Show Business, Marilyn Monroe plays the character of Vicky Hoffman, a talented singer and dancer. The story revolves around the trials and tribulations of the Donahue family, a vaudeville troupe trying to make it big in the entertainment industry. The film explores their personal and professional lives as they navigate the challenges and joys of show business. Now, the movie showcases various musical performances and features songs, classic songs like Alexander's Ragtime Band, When the Midnight Choo-Choo Leaves for Alabama, Heat Wave, and of course, There's No Business Like Show Business. Now, while the film received mixed reviews upon its release, it has since become a beloved classic, largely due to its catchy songs, vibrant dance sequences, and of course, Marilyn Monroe's charming performance. There's No Business Like Show Business remains a notable part of Marilyn Monroe's filmography and continues to be enjoyed by audiences who appreciate musical films and the golden age of Hollywood. These preceding paragraphs provided by chat.openai.com. Now, when you use the term blonde bombshell from the 1950s, for many of us, only one name comes to mind, and that's Marilyn Monroe, born 1926, died 1962. To this day, she remains a pop culture icon. Born in Los Angeles, she spent most of her childhood in foster homes until the age of 16, when she first married, long before Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller would become future husbands. A successful pinup modeling career gave way to some minor film roles that led to her starring in major movie productions to include Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and How to Marry a Millionaire. Now, the movie There's No Business Like Show Business at the time of its release was considered a box office failure due to excessive expenses that were not recouped at the box office. It ran a loss of almost $950,000, a sizable sum in those days. But the movie's release in the early 1990s to the home video market was welcomed and received favorable reviews from both critics and fans. The song Heat Wave, performed by Marilyn in the movie, was critically panned by many, with Ed Sullivan saying it was a violation of good taste. But I'll let you be the judge with today's video clip. As I said, I promise this will be the last song this season relating to the current weather. Marilyn Monroe.
Ray, I feel hotter. So I think the temperature just went up. This is global warming. You shouldn't be showing that. This is just going to raise our temperature.
Last
Remember
time.
your daughter's there, so.
Oh yeah, I guess I got. Oops, here she is right beside me. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Well, listen. Thanks so much, Ray. We look. Yes, indeed. Well, it's another week. It's 10 o'clock, top of the hour. Another show. Hopefully you've had a good time. And don't forget, our Thursday show will be, of course, Tech for Senior Live, and we do all the news of the week. And you can find all the details about that in our newsletter. So today, now we're going to move on into our question and answer for about the next 20 minutes. And then, of course, our premiere video will be at 1:30. So we'll open it up to any questions. You know the routine. Put your hand up. Jennifer, of course, is, I think you're sitting right next to me. Let's see if we can move the camera over here. There we go. Where did we go? Oh, there we are. Yeah, so we can certainly, Jennifer's here as well. Let me see. I'll move down here, and that should work. And we'll entertain any questions that you have. Carrie, go ahead.
Yeah, I took Ray's advice. My air conditioner went out on Friday night. They came and evaluated it, and they did some work, but had to get the part and came back the next day and installed it, and it ran up about $821 worth of repairs. So that was fine and dandy, but overnight it went out again, which was yesterday. So I called them out. They did $147 worth of more damage to my unit. But while it was cooling off the house, I went to see ℍ𝕠𝕠𝕠𝕠. So yes, I took Ray's advice and stayed cool while my house was cooling down from 83 degrees.
Did you like Oppenheimer? Was Oppenheimer a good movie? Should we go and see it?
Actually, I didn't get much sleep because it was so hot. I fell asleep during the movie. I did wake up at one time and there's a bare breast staring me in the face.
Oh, okay.
It was a little spicy in parts as well. He was supposed to be a ladies' man, and that was something I never heard about his history.
All right.
Although in the year 1967, I was a munitions officer and spent that year at Kokura Arsenal, which happened to be the A-bomb, second A-bomb primary target. They made 3 passes on Kokura, went down, dropped the bomb on Nagasaki, but I had spent my year in 1967 as the commander of that site. I had 100 GIs, 320 Japanese working there. And what a historical year of my Air Force career.
Thanks a lot. Drew, go ahead.
Hi, I put the details in the chat, but for those of you who use Google Photos and Windows, there is a company called RAI Drive, and they make a program, and their entry-level features are free. And one of the features that they let you use is to map a drive letter to your Google Photos. And so let's say you have it will create drive y:, and that will go to you'll see your photo albums in one folder and all of your photos in another folder. And then you can use a backup and sync program to back up all your photos to an external drive so that you can preserve everything that you have that you've ever done. And you can do your photos and you can do your albums.
I can feel a video coming out about this. I can see Chris's mind working, and I think that more to come on this. All right, Bob.
Yeah, for Jennifer, the translation feature that's now available on your smartphones. I have an Android 6 like your dad, And I use it almost daily because in my senior center, we have quite a few seniors who only speak Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. I only speak English. But with that feature already built into the phone, no problem. We have great conversations. I speak in English. They get it in Spanish. They speak in Spanish and I get it in English. So, and it has gotten so much better over the years. Now, from what I've been told, I might as well be speaking perfect Spanish. That's how good it's gotten.
Yay, I'm happy to hear that you're using that tool, because it really does connect. It really is a tool that helps you connect with other people. And I think anyone working in an airport should definitely have it. When we were coming back to Canada, there were so many people in the Vancouver airport working there who are trying to help people with paperwork and they can't do it. And it would just be so simple if everybody had these translation devices. And it's all built in now to most programs too.
And it's so much easier to use and learn that feature than it is to learn another language.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, Jennifer, have you written? Oops, my audio's on. Okay, I was asking a question for Jennifer. Has she written a book about her experiences?
No, I haven't.
Well, I would think that'd be so fascinating. Your first impressions, especially. I remember when I was going to go work in Mexico City for GM. And I was all enthralled about going there and everything. But the more I went down there, I'm glad I didn't make my mind up real soon. But so I know first impressions are really something to record. And your dad using GPAI, he could have it checked for you and make it.
He could write the book for me.
Well, using that tool would make it spectacular, I would think. And second question I have is for Ray. Ray, have you ever watched the Reels cable channel? They do stars, and a couple weeks ago they did the Guns N' Roses and they did Journey. It's really fascinating about the background of these groups that, the problems that were all AAA personalities and artists, all of them, how, their background and what goes on. Have you ever watched it?
What's the channel again, Carl?
It's Reels, REELZ. It's
Real. Okay. I've heard of it. I've not watched it, but now that you're mentioning it, I'll go out of my way to tune it in.
Yeah, you've got to look it up because it's very documentary background on all these musicians and other personalities, and what have you.
There's some that I do watch, and I always enjoy the professional commentary before the film starts, giving a lot of this background information. Some people call it information, some people call it minutia, but I really enjoy listening to it.
I think of you every time because it starts out, they always start off with some other group, and then they evolve to the group that they eventually become, and the lead players and their personalities and. It's amazing when they stay together, be truthful.
Irene, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, this is a fairly broad question for everybody, but so Windows 10 eventually will be not supported in a year or two. And I'm wondering if we should get another computer, get Windows 11 or 12, because I believe 12 is coming out very soon, or should we just kind of limp along with Windows 10? My husband's 95 years old, so we're not computer with it. But does anybody have any suggestions? Limp along.
Bob, do you want to answer that question?
Thank you. Yes.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
Windows 10 is still fully supported and fully functional through October of 2025. And if you're using Windows 10 and everything's working fine for you, I don't see any reason why you have to rush out and get Windows 11. You're comfortable with Windows 10. When October of 2025 comes around, and you still want to keep using a computer, that's probably a good time to change to whatever version of Windows is then available.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chris or Jim.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Jennifer, for being here. That was very, very entertaining and informative. We use Translate for a lot of different things, for reading packages in the grocery stores and translating
When
what-
we're in a foreign country.
when we're in a foreign country. Or sometimes in Miami. It, but that's one of the things that is out there.
It was a little difficult to get the I speak and then you listen to the translation. Has it gotten faster? I mean, we had to teach the people who we were talking to wait, wait.
Yeah.
You
I
have
mean,
to
I
teach
think
them how to
that's-
use it.
That's the big, I mean, I work with kids. So, you know, I worked with 7 and 8-year-olds. So it was a long process for them to learn to be patient. Also, you have to make sure that you speak clearly. And some kids mumble, or they're still learning how to articulate their thoughts, and it's not very clear. So it's definitely it's not perfect.
It doesn't change with older people.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. They
Yeah,
patience.
it's tricky. I will say that we used WeChat in China, which is a super app there. And we had a nanny for 8 years who spoke no English. And the WeChat had a built-in translations piece. And the most success we had was leaving voice messages. And then the app translated the voice messages into text. And it is so accurate. Every once in a while, I'd pop it over to Google Translate just to check on something. But more often than not, it was good enough to help raise our son for 6 years in China. So yeah, it is tricky. I think it also depends on the languages you're translating between. Like English, Chinese is a bit of a far stretch. Chinese, Hebrew, even more of a stretch. French, Spanish, probably easier. You know, English, Spanish. I think my understanding of a lot of these translation apps too is it's all built in with algorithms. So the more that they get used, the more refined the translation becomes. And that's why the chat GPT is just broadens those algorithms up to be more intuitive. But yeah, I can't speak to how to help the other person figure out how to use it. It's there's always human error.
Yeah. And then I have a question for Drew on that RAID drive. You say you can map a drive on your Windows computer to your Google Photos library, and you'll see the albums and the whole library. Is it syncing, or do you specifically download certain?
You're not downloading anything initially to your computer. You're simply creating a new drive letter that it will pick by default. It'll start with drive Z and go to Y, depending on what's available. And it'll open up File Explorer, and you'll have 2 folders there. One that contains thousands and thousands of files, and one that contains, tens or hundreds of folders, that represent each of your photo albums.
But if you're not on the internet, what do you see?
Nothing.
You're not connected. Nothing. So it's just a different way to view. It's not really a backup then.
No, you're not. No, it's a means to doing a backup. I then use backup software to copy those files that are now on drive Z to my external storage drive. So I have the ability to copy all the photos and all the albums. You do that the first time, it can take a little while, but when you're using a sync program, all you're doing is synchronizing the most recent files that have changed since the last time you did a backup. That takes only a minute or two.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sounds interesting. I'm impressed with that. I like to try that. I think that's going to be interesting. Irving, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to ask Chris and Jim about the external drive they were using with the cell phones, and would they be appropriate? Like, for instance, with the Apple, would it be could you use it on an iPad?
Absolutely. You need the, you buy the thumb drive and you install the app
That comes with it.
on the device. Yeah.
Thank you.
They really work well.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Excellent. Thanks. Any more questions, Irving? No. Okay, good. All right. I think we answered all the questions. Anybody else? Anything else anyone wants to say before we finish it? All right. Well, thank you for coming. I think it was a great show today. Yes, we had lots of good comments, lots of good presentations. Don't forget, if you have both, I didn't show the iOS app to ChatGPT, but it's available now. So it doesn't matter whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone, the app is available and you should download it. It's free. Your basic level of ChatGPT is free. So download it, install it, have some fun with it. I put the link to the premiere video, which will start at past the hour. And we'll see everybody next week, same time, same place, or we'll see you this Thursday for Tech for Senior Live when we review the news of the week. Should be fun. All right.
Bye.
Anyway,
Bye,
have a great
everybody.
day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you next month.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Thanks a lot.